Hey guys, just a heads up, the interview you're about to hear contains a discussion around some pretty complex topics, including suicidal ideations. My guests and I are definitely not mental health professionals, so be mindful we're only sharing our personal views, opinions, and stories. If you think this is likely to be triggering or cause any distress in any way, please consider whether this is the right episode for you. And if you're concerned about your mental health or a mate's mental health, Movember recommends encouraging them to see a doctor or to call Lifeline on 13 11 14. This week's episode is brought to you by Stuff. Stuff is a personal care brand that keeps things simple for men while championing healthy masculinity. Buying stuff funds young men's mental health, so as well as smelling good, looking good, and feeling good, you're also having a massive impact. Use the code STUFFDEAL for 20% off at the website of stuff.com. The link will also be in the show notes. Let's go. Gentlemen, welcome to the show in Sydney. Dyl Friends on tour. This is special. Welcome. One of you talk. Yeah, one of you talk. Zach, you talk.
Just haven't seen you in person.
I know. No, the last time we caught up in person,
We climbed a bridge.
we climbed the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Yeah, as you do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was the starting point.
Yeah, that's what
That was
I
our
didn't know who
starting-
this dude was.
Yeah.
I was just like, hey man, let's go climb.
That sounds like an awesome mate date.
It was a mate day.
Yeah.
It was a real mate
We did
day.
a shave down at the top of the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
We did.
Yeah.
We climbed it, and it was funny because it was probably the both of our start of our mental health. Well, you've been a psychologist your whole life, so not your whole life.
Yeah, since I was one.
Since you were one. It was the start of our, I suppose, podcasting journey together. And I remember, Zac was there and someone was like, yeah, he's Zac. And he had this big ego. Like, he was just trying to push everyone
Zac?
around. Yeah, he was just
Yeah.
trying to push everyone around. It's a little bit awkward. And I just had to say, settle down, my friend. But no, this is your third time.
Yeah.
You're a third timer? Third time?
I'm a veteran.
You're a veteran?
Yeah.
You're a two-time hunter?
Two-timer. A boy can dream.
You'll catch
You
me.
did. You dominated so badly. You dominated so well last 6 weeks ago that you've come back by popular demand.
That's good. So would you say that's better than 3 times?
Yeah.
Dominating your second
I think
time?
you're doing it because you're coming back so well. Zac's having 3 chances to nail it. Yeah.
He's brought us together to compete, and then you'll get the third next time. Yeah,
That's what we need. More masculinity. More.
We
more
do.
competition.
Yeah. There you go. There's testosterone here. I actually went for a run this morning. If you guys didn't know, check my Strava.
You told us 3 times.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm actually doing a marathon. Hey, boys, super special app. We've been planning this one for ages. Borders are open now. It's just, shoulders are relaxing. I feel so fucking good being back in Sydney. So happy. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but I'm very happy being here.
Happiness is great.
It is good. It is really good. But we've been in this, chat for a while. My 2 really good mates that I've, had the pleasure of meeting and always want to do a good mental health men's chat with you guys because you guys are the meccas. I'm going to say you're the meccas of this. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're the meccas.
That's huge. Mech
Yeah.
is quite a big thing.
It's the place to be.
Yeah. Well, you 2 are the meccas of this. So appreciate you both coming in and let's just chew the fat today. I'm really excited about it. There's some good things. And just a precursor as well, this month, as you'd know, being very big, loyal listeners of the podcast, we have done a fair few, mental health chats and vulnerability chats and mindfulness chats. But I think especially in this time in Movember, it is just a special time to be able to do that. And it should be more consistent. I hope that it is. But today and the rest of the month, I think is just that time to really nail it in.
I think you do a damn good job at it. I think that the idea that it is ever present now, is the fact that it was always there. It was just like an undercurrent, and now it's just coming out in all your podcasts. Every chat you have, someone's talking about adversity and overcoming it, or the dark struggles that they've had and dealing with vulnerability. And that's beautiful. That's where we're at. This is what men are talking about now. So come at us.
It was really funny, Hunter. I'm not sure if you've heard the chats that Zac and I did a while ago. And I remember that, and this just shows, vulnerability is a skill, like mental, everything is a skill. I remember we did a chat, I reckon 2 years ago, the first one we did. And I think we just mentioned the word mental health and I was sweating. I was sweating. I
do that to people.
Literally, but I released that and I was like, people are going to fucking hate me. I'm going to be the biggest loser. No one's going to connect with this. And it was the first one I'd really ever done about it. And going back and listening to it now, I don't even think you wouldn't even notice. You'd just be like, that's just a normal conversation. But for me, that was such a pinnacle of the change of the show being not just, service level conversations. Let's actually talk about some stuff. So thank you.
Anytime, man.
So you set up his part 2 of his career.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I'll expect the checks in the mail.
Yeah, definitely. And
Well, just on that, I find it very interesting who rises in public awareness and when. So, like, Brené Brown is kind of like the one who took vulnerability into the mainstream. Like her TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability, is like one of the top 5 most TED Talks, watched TED Talks of all time, which is just zoom out a bit. That's quite extraordinary. So of all the TED Talks there are, of all the topics, vulnerability is in the top 5 of all time. And it's like those, those business ideas they say, like Uber wouldn't have worked 15 years ago, but Uber, when it launched, at that time it worked. So I think it's just fascinating that where we're up to in like our, whether you call it evolution or development, that we're now at a stage where like vulnerability is awesome. It's time for vulnerability. But then I'd be interested in your perspective on this. I'm really conscious that vulnerability can't be like the magic bullet to fixing everything. Because people are like, I'm vulnerable. And it's like, oh, cool. Well, now what?
Yeah. And there's a time and a place as well. The idea that it should just be splayed everywhere is not right. It's more powerful when the time is right to be able to do it. But I definitely agree there that it's like you have to have like an intention. You can't just be like, no, I'm going to be vulnerable, and just you have to actually mean it when you're talking about these things. And that's the thing as a psychologist, the idea of being in a setting and people are just like telling you things for the very first time and you can see it and hear it. And I could sense when we were doing that podcast that that was a lot for you to even just talk about the topic. And it's just like, once you push past that, then everything just becomes so much easier. And then it's not necessarily even vulnerability. Then it's just chat. This is just chat now. Whereas if we'd done this 2 years ago, it's like, what is this? This is a weird space to be in. You know what I mean? So it's practice. It's a skill.
It is a skill. It is a skill. And even to like double down on that point, we were chatting off air before, but obviously I had a podcast a few weeks ago where I shared some, vulnerability about my family and what we've been through the last sort of 12 months with my old man. And when I went into that show, all I was thinking about was actually just telling the story to the guys that were on the show with me. I swear to God, I didn't actually think or comprehend that anyone was going to listen to that. As in, it just, because that was just the biggest journey, was like, get it out without bawling your eyes out. Just make sure you get out this story. And then I had this sigh of relief and like ready to go, and I was ready to be vulnerable because the time was right, and I spoke to my old man about it. But the week after, when we released it, I was like the most anxious I reckon I've ever been. And it wasn't, I still to this day, I think it was just because I'd shared something that I'd held in for so long. I was just like totally, and I see a psych like every 3 weeks we just catch up and just talk about stuff. And I still remember going into that going like, I'm so happy I did this, and I don't regret doing it, but I'm still fucked. Like I was just cooked. I was just I don't know how to feel about this.
Well, yeah, there's like the vulnerability hangover.
Yeah, it was a hangover.
You're literally like, I regret everything. Like, there is no way that is worth it. And that's when you hit your edge, because you're in uncharted territories. And it's like, there's no, like if we think about all our social interactions, most of them are just testing for safety. That's what banter is. It's like, are we cool? Okay, we're good. But then when you overstep that into something that's vulnerable, you have no evidence that you're going to be okay. Like you have no evidence that people receiving that are going to be like, oh, Dyl, he's all right, but he's a bit soft now. Like I loved the potty before, but it's the ultimate, right? It's like the vulnerability gives us permission to connect, and that gives like that social proof that everything's okay. I can trust you. And I think that's what the beautiful thing about the evolution of your podcast is it like it's mainstreaming authenticity, and that's, you can't replicate authenticity. Like you can't. And you can try perform it, but you always walk away going, oh, that feels icky.
Exactly.
Like
and everyone can read it.
So I think, yeah, man, and you're just day at a time. Like you're not out there trying to declare it. You're just going, this is the next piece for me to share. Oh shit! Here you go.
Just see that.
I think you want to fight against that natural internal belief that is like, don't push that door open.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You were like, I don't. You're keeping it for however long inside, and your brain is just like, no one needs to know this. This doesn't need to be told. And the fact that you open up that door and just leap, that's shit frightening. It's crazy stuff, but it opens it up, and then suddenly you're in a new room and you're like, oh, my house is much bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it's definitely been a big one for me, and hopefully we can get into some of your stories in a bit, but just in terms of you know, I thought that I'd always had connections with people that I loved and friends. But as soon as you do something like that, you realise how... Now, listen to what I'm saying here. We're not special at all. Like, if we think we're the only people that are going through shit, shut the fuck up. You literally, you're not special. Everyone has shit going on in their life. And somehow I'd find comfort in telling my thing, and then someone goes, oh, this happened to me too, and you feel good about it. Like, I do anyway. I was like, oh my God, like for so long, I seriously, to 28 years of age, thought I was the only person going through that. I was like, you're not special, mate. Like, these things happen all the time. So anyway, I felt good. And if anyone hasn't listened to that chat, that was episode something with
the last one.
Yeah, the last one. That was 2 episodes ago with the imperfects that we did. So in that chat as well, I gave a bit of my why into why I was interested in mental health and why I love this space. Are you too happy to talk about your whys today? I think it's awesome to be chatting. Who wants to delve in?
You go first, mate.
Yeah. So the why now is because of the power of what I get to see through our programs.
Yeah.
It's like that, we just talked about it, like running Man Cave and now stuff. Like, if I just focus on Man Cave, because that's kind of the heartbeat, it's like the vulnerability that you showed and then the impact on your listeners, we get to do with tens of thousands of teenage boys who for their whole lives have just been on autopilot going, just got to survive. Like, whatever that is I need to do to survive. And then when they just slow down enough to just take off the mask and just let a bit of the emotion out, changes the room. And that's the why now, just because it's fucking incredible. But then personally, man, there's kind of 2 parts. One is I grew up, and some of the most important men in my life went through years of depression, and no one talked about it. And I got the impact of that on my family. And then the other side of that is, my mum would be comfortable talking about this, but my mum was sexually abused when she was young, and by a trusted family friend. And I've just seen the impact of that on her life, on my life, my family, my siblings' lives. And it just didn't make sense to me that the systems we have to deal with, whether it's mental health or family violence, are geared around crisis management. So we wait till something goes wrong, we try fix the symptom. And then the part 3 was like, man, I was just a massive jock at high school and I just loved fucking being the alpha, but I also hated it. And I just did a lot of things that I look back on now. It was just to fit in and just to make sure that I didn't get either paid out or kicked out of the group. And so I just did things to stay on top of the social hierarchy. And of course I had no fucking awareness of that at the time. But I look back on that now and I'm like, far out. There are so many things that I did that were just against my value system. And, I remember when I finished school, I did a year traveling and I just was lonely for the first time. And actually the loneliness gave me a space to reflect. And I just went back and sent Facebook messages to the kids that I thought it was banter, but it was definitely bullying over the years that I just gave a really hard time to, because that's what we did at school. And they were like, thanks, man. I'm not sure if this is a joke or if, but thanks. And then I emailed all my teachers and I was like, sorry for being a little dick, And then it took a long time for my mateship group to really get that, because I kind of left Sydney and then moved to Melbourne and then just found myself. And that kind of began the whole journey of Man Cave for me. But, a lot of my mates, have watched that journey going, what the fuck has happened to him? And, now I'm just trying to be myself amongst them, and hopefully they kind of take some pieces of the puzzle and works into their life too.
Huge, bro. Massive. Really appreciate you opening up on that. That point, just quickly on, because I wanted to touch on this later, but about your friends. Did you lose friends?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I reckon, a big moment in time for me was when Bucks parties started to happen. And I remember I was best man at one of my best mates' weddings, and there were strippers on the boat. And I was like, man, this is probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, I just can't, it would feel more wrong internally for me to be there than feel right for me to connect with my mates. And I remember there's this iconic moment where we were on, like, got on a boat, drove it around Manly, and then parked in, had a few beers in Manly, and then the boat was coming back with the strippers on it, which was a surprise for my mate. And I was like, oh, I just can't be on that. Like, I just can't be on that. But I was like, I don't want to make a scene. So I just like slyly like got my bag off the boat. And then there was this like literal iconic
Swam
moment.
back to Bondi.
Yeah. And then like the boat was just departing, and it was this scene of like watching, like, you know, some of my mates leave.
Yeah.
And then
Your past
a
self.
guy who used to be one of my best mates starts yelling out, faggot, poofta, gay, like as a joke, but like maybe not, you know, at the same time. And it was a real kind of moment where I just felt so insecure, because I was like, that is the guys who I've, you know, bled with on the sporting field. Like I've, you know, had some of the best nights of my life, traveled the world with. And there's this moment where they're really kind of departing. And I was like, but that's who I am in that moment. And then I went and met back up with them later. And, you know, about 4 guys pulled me aside and said, hey, man, like, just thanks for doing that, because I actually felt really uncomfortable being there too. So now in our friendship group, there's now a new portal that's opened where you don't have to just go that way. And I was like, fuck, man, I still feel so insecure about it. But, you know, that was a big moment for me. And, you know, now when I go back into those friendship groups, it's, you know, we talk about what was, we talk about all the stories. That's it. It's not what, you know, I'm not here right now talking about mental health, you know, vulnerability, emotions, the meaning of life, which I'm like, I'm drawn to that conversation. So yeah, I for a long time, I felt like I was straddling worlds, and yeah, there's nothing wrong about that. Like, I still love my mates, and it's just, you know, I'm a different person. They're different people. And, you know, I can still connect with them how I connect with them, and that's okay.
Love it. My story is pretty similar, I think, in many ways. I like that idea, you know, you're getting off the boat and that you're like holding up a mirror to them and they're seeing themselves as well. And that's where and I like to do that. That's just my vibes, that I just like to point out things to people and be like, why are you doing this? Is this in your best interest? And I think that I've always been so observant. You know, I had so many female friends, and so I would watch, because I was the drama music kid. And so I would watch all of the guys kind of from a distance and be like, this doesn't seem fun. Doesn't look like you're having a good time. And I could chameleon my way into it, because I can play sport and I can attempt to run and I can, you know, keep up with that type of vibe. But I always felt like I was lying to myself in many ways. And I always just felt much more comfortable around women, because I was just like, I don't have to put on this mask. I don't have to pretend to be something else. So that was what was going on early on. I got 2 older brothers, so the competition and that, but it was still, it was fun. It was fine. It didn't feel dangerous in that way. But as we were growing up, my dad suffered from depression for a long time, and I've spoken about this before with you, Dyl, and we didn't speak about it. It wasn't anything that was discussed. He would go on conferences when he went to hospital. You know, it was mum, and I still can't really decide whether I'm happy or angry about the fact that they kept it from us, because I went 16 years of my life not knowing that anything was wrong. And at the point when I did find out that something was wrong, I felt somewhat that I'd been lied to, but I also realized that my whole childhood had been incredible as a result. Because he wasn't there for certain times, but when he was on, he was there, he was very present. So I understand why they did it. But in my current state, I'm like, that was just shame filled. You know, it's like, I don't want anyone to know. His best mates didn't know. He was depressed since he was 18, and his best mates had no idea. And so that went on till I was like 20. He was on and off. He'd do, you know, a few weeks here and there of being bedridden pretty much. And I remember at some point I became parent to him, like getting him out of bed, getting him to eat. And he was a GP, he was a doctor, looked after everyone. Yeah. You know, he started methadone clinics in Australia, safe injecting rooms. He looked after, you know, the people who couldn't look after themselves. And that was his whole identity. And so the idea that he was in a vulnerable state was a no-go zone. No way was anyone gonna tell him or see him in that way. And he also thought that they were going to take his medical license if they ever found out he was unwell, which is something that is still a problem across the board. Doctors, football players, people in the army, you know, the second they admit that something's up, they get put on leave, you know, and that's a mark on their on their
we know now, like, the one thing of mental health is having purpose. So that feels like the actual opposite of what you should be doing. Yeah. Like being connected to a community, all these things. Yeah.
But that's what Hunter said. It's like we need to be proactive, not reactive.
Yeah.
There's too much crisis, you know, and that's the whole men's mental health game. And so if we can get to the point where we are, you know, the whole of Movember, everyone every year, and I wrote about this last week, the idea that I'm getting more and more mates coming on board my team for Movember, and each of them are only coming on board because their dad or their grandfather has had prostate cancer or has passed away. And I don't want it to be reactive. I don't want you to come on board. You know, women don't do that. They don't get on board a breast cancer charity because somebody has passed away. They do it because they're being proactive. You know, they're doing it because they believe in this thing and they want to provide health and well-being to everyone. We wait until the shit hits the fan and then we go for it. So I'm glad that I was somewhat already on this train into men's mental health. Masculinity has always intrigued me. And so I was already on the train. And then I was overseas when I was 20. I was in Portugal and I got a call at 6 a.m, like 9 Skype calls. I woke up and I knew what had happened. I just felt it in my bones. And I never believed that it was possible that Dad would take his own life. I didn't think, you know, you never think that it's likely. You always deny that truth that's within you. And so nobody asks, nobody talks. And since that day, I have made very, very clear in my mind that I will do whatever it takes to make sure that no one else has to go through that. Because I just remember being in a hotel room so far away from my family, screaming into a towel, trying to keep, you know, it was 6 a.m. I'm trying to not wake everyone up. And I was just, it literally felt like I'd been ripped apart. And it was just such a moment of, like drowning grief that I somehow found a way. I just remember I got on a plane. I met up with my brother in Dubai because he was somewhere else. And we just sat there and it was just like, I don't have words for this. I don't know what has just happened. And because, as I said, I'd gone 20 years of literally, you know, I've grown up in Bondi. I've had the best life possible. And then it's just ripped apart from underneath. And I came home and, you know, it was just, the first thing that I thought about was my sister. You know, she was 16 at the time. And I just thought, I had all of these moments, which is kind of a cliche of like her walking down the aisle and without him. And that was always the thing that really got to me and still does in many ways, because I was 20, which is young, but I was like, I think I can handle this. And my mum is just a lioness, you know. We just came home, and I'm Jewish, so we sat Shiva, which is a week in the house, which is just the most incredible way to mourn, because our whole family descended upon the house from all over the world, and we do a whole week in the house talking about him, thinking about it, and it's like forced grief, pretty much.
So you don't, like, can you allowed to leave? We just sort of stay.
We didn't leave. No, but like people, this is another thing that I've reflected on recently. I got food delivered to our house for 6 months from just mums in the community.
Yeah, crazy.
Just dropped at the door. They worked out their own routine. It was incredible. And because I couldn't think about anything, you know? And so we just sit there and we were just playing games and chatting and just trying to find some form of, and me being, I was already on the verge of being a psych, so I was like, we're going to do the work, you know, and everyone's like, fuck you. I am not. Literally. Come on, guys. Come on, everyone. Literally sit down. We're going to talk about this. And it's like, no one is ready 3 days in to discuss what's happening, especially when it was so out of the blue. It was not anything that we had considered in any way. And so moving out of that, I think all of us, because my mum was just like, we're going to get on with this. You know, this is just how it's going to be. We're not going to forget him. I made really clear, I remember I wrote an article for The Guardian. It was about a year after. And I sent it around to my siblings because it was me talking about what had happened. It was making it very clear. Lots of his patients didn't know. We didn't talk about it at the funeral. And I just said, what about the cancer narrative, which is the idea that if he died of cancer, we'd all be talking about it. Yeah. We'd all say exactly what it is. If it's suicide, it needs to have that. We need to bring this out. Like it's just too, and that's the thing. If you don't say the word, if you don't talk about it, it just sits in this dark, scary place that no one can understand and no one is willing to discuss. And so I always use that, that cancer question in my head. Would I talk about this if? And so I told them. They were like, oh, we're uncomfortable about this. And I go, well, maybe that's okay. And I put it out there, and then I just felt a weight go in a way. And now I can do this, now I can sit here and talk about it in this way. And now it really comes down to just the privilege, just like Hunter, to be able to sit across from people and, just watch them get out of their darkest moments. And I've kind of become like a Tony Robbins motivational coach. I don't know when it happened, but I'm just like,
do you wear the lectern?
Yeah.
You get the what's it?
Just for his one-on-one
And I clap with my massive hands. But just that idea of like, you are capable of getting through this and holding hope for them and holding the belief that they're, and I do so much of that. Is this useful? Is this helping you? What can we do differently here? Yeah. And just questioning things here and there. And it's just such a damn privilege. And then getting to work in Movember, we got millions of guys on our WhatsApp group who were just sending in messages, just looking for connection. And that's what the community provides. And so getting to do that on a global level with just a little bit of an upper hairy lip is a damn privilege. And
no, I'm really honoured to be sitting here with you guys. Like, I'm not saying that in any way but the truth. It is an honour. You two, as I said, I respect so much what you do. I absolutely love it. And what you've both just done then, and shared your stories, I can't thank you enough for it. But I think I wanted to make clear the reason, we're doing that, and I think the reason you guys do that, it's not to come in here and be like, this is our sad story, like, sympathise or whatever. It's just showing that you can do it too. Everyone has a story. You can do it too when you're ready to do it. And don't feel alone, because, I think we're not trying to just tell these stories and people feel shit about themselves. Like, it's more like, fuck, this is what, a lot of people go through. A lot of people have these things and don't feel alone.
Yeah. Dude, that was so powerful, man. So
it was fucking unbelievable. Yeah.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Okay.
So you would be familiar with like the phrase, obviously post-traumatic stress, and then there's post-traumatic growth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So for you, you've used an absolute tragic circumstance to be an inflection moment of growth and service. What do you put that down to?
There was never any option, which is really interesting. I've thought about this, and it's like I was provided with such good guardrails that even though everything was shaking, I felt that it was all going to land exactly where it needed to be. Yeah. And I think Dad knew that in a roundabout way, which is he could have done this at any point in time. You know what I mean? And I think that we were all, besides my sister, who is now flourishing as well.
Hey, shout out to her. She's
we're
thinking one of the big podcasts right now. The Daily is just, wow. They are dominating.
She's crushing. Yeah. So that idea of being aware that we were in a place that we would get through. And he also knew who we were, obviously, and that my mum is just unbreakable to an extent. She didn't feel unbreakable for those first few months. Yeah. But she's a mother first, and so I think that how I turned it around was that, which is the same way that I've kind of done everything, is like no plan B. Just believe that this will work out, and work towards it every day, and don't think any differently, and also surround yourself with damn good people. My friends have been my friends since I was like 3. So good. So they know what's happening, and they were there, and they held me, and I just pushed on,
I've been thinking, so my dad's a psychologist. My mum and my dad split when I was like 2, but dad's a psychologist. And so I often think about the identity of a psychologist. And so because it represents such safety and such almost stoicism, that I can be the vessel or the space for you to share whatever, and I'm still here to serve. And then the other side of that is like a curiosity. I'm interested in your perspective on this, is like, sometimes identities can be like a prison, because I'm listening to you share that. I'm like, man, who holds Zac? Like who, because yes, you've got the skills. Yes, you've got the ability, your capacity is immense, but then like, where do you go to be held?
just want to hug. I think that I got to a point a year ago or so where I realized that no one actually knew who I was to an extent, because I would do so much giving and helping and listening to everybody. And I thought, and I think I've discussed this with you, that I feel like a vulnerability salesman.
Yeah.
Because I can give off that story, for instance, about my dad, which is pretty intense in the grand scheme of things, and it doesn't touch the sides.
I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
And so it's like I can be in a certain space. Like Dan Price is one of the only people in the world. I'll sit there and he will rattle me.
Oh, he shook
every
me.
time. Yeah,
he shook me up.
He shakes me, and that is something that doesn't happen that often to me, because I'm in this space most of the time, and it's my job. So it's like it can't. If it shakes me all the time, it can't work. But that means that in my everyday life, I can't get into a space where I'm actually providing truth of myself and what I actually need. And so I realized that no one's reading me correctly because I'm not providing anything useful. So now I have to actively go, I need to tell them what's happening right now. I need to say, oh, I'm actually doing pretty shit, because I've always wanted to be, I got it together, I'm fine. I can, and the thing is that I know my own rituals. I swim every day, I meditate, I got my things, but sometimes I do need people, and I need someone to hold me. And so I'm at that space now where I'm going, I need to just come out with this a bit more and share it more in a way. And that's a lot for people, because my typical vulnerability feels a lot to people, but my true vulnerability is like, shit, you're drowning.
Yeah. And then that breaks the whole dynamic too, because they're like, but you're Zac, the holder of all the things, you know? Like, and they're like, are you okay? You're like, yeah, man, I'm just being me. You're like, you know?
My missus does that for me, because like, you know, even with this show now, she... You know, sometimes I come off as I literally have no idea what I'm talking about, ever. And she's like the most strongest, most beautiful person in the world. And she's my rock. So when she stresses, I'm like, we're stressing. Okay, fuck. Like, 'cause she's normally the one that keeps me calm. So I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Like when this person stresses. But you actually, again, to your point, you probably don't realize how much people love helping you too. Mm-hmm. Like there's actually something like that you get off on helping other people. So as much as it might be hard for you, you know that you're actually letting people connect with you more, which is good.
Yeah, and it's reimagining what is service, right? Because service, I think, is like a fluid thing. It's not always outward. Sometimes the most you can do to serve others is let yourself be held, which is so counterintuitive.
Well, that's exactly the thing that I was realizing when I was, you know, because I go through waves of thinking about that in totally different settings. And I started to go about a year and a half. It was my birthday. My birthday always rattles me. I'm like, everyone stay away. And I was like, something's up here. You know, it's like, this is my day and I don't want anyone to, you know, actually. And so I got to the point where I was like, I think I'm doing the dad thing now, where I'm just giving to everyone and not allowing anyone in. And it was great to just be like, nah, fuck that. This is not happening.
Yeah.
And so I called up a mate, and I really also didn't want to do it when I'm drunk. I don't, you know, there's no need for any of these masks. So it was just like, called up a mate. I'm like, we're going to the beach. And I just sat there and just let it out. You know? And I think knowing that that's there and that's present, and he felt great about being able to be in that space with me. But you don't want to freak them out.
No, you don't. You definitely want to freak them out, but I think doing it the right way is the best way possible. Big things, ticket items today that we've touched on 3 or 4 times, and I'd love to get into this, because I think the beauty of you two and having you in the room is you're so well versed, and you know exactly, you don't know exactly, and I think that's actually something, you know, good measures, and they might not fit everyone, but they are good things to do, is proactiveness versus reactiveness. Let's talk a little bit about like what is proactiveness, and then like what is reactiveness, and how maybe the 2 best things that we can do in those situations. Like for me, I know when I need to be reactive, because I can start to, you know, you surround yourself and talk to people like yourself all the time, and I'm like, fuck, I need to do something now. You know, whether it's go for a run or get out and see some friends, whether it's get off the drink for a bit. Like there's a few things that are starting, you know, as I get older, I'm going, fuck, these aren't good. I need to balance it out. So what would you guys say is the best, in your own opinions, for yourself or people you've worked with, really good proactive tools to stay on top of your mental health?
Well, I'm sitting next to a psychologist, so I'll just have my first attempt at a crack now. And He'll just clean
follow
all this
up and just go, that was shit. That was shit.
I'm here for the crumb.
We can edit that bit out. Well, my language for it, which I got from my mates, is basically, are you playing offense? Are you playing defense?
Oh, I like it.
And that just helped my psychology quite a bit. Like, and I think with, you know, many guys, our mindset is very competitive and very conquest driven. And so I think if I'm like, cool, if that's my nature, let's just apply that to my well-being. And so I think if I'm playing offense, it's like really, and it's creating a game of a situation that could otherwise be quite heavy. So for me, it's like the biggest thing I've learned to do is genuinely slow down and listen to myself. Like, I don't know why
So
that
hard
is not
to do that, man.
told.
That is like
100%.
that is so much easier said than done, isn't it?
The silence is shit scary.
Oh.
Yeah, man, because it comes up, right? And then it's like there's so much noise and there's so much like we're so, you know, the pokies machine in our hands, you know, like there's just so much pulling us out of avoiding ourselves. And it's like, it's so interesting, like the altered states of consciousness, like business movement is like $1 trillion industry because it's pulling ourselves, our attention away from ourselves into something external. And it's like, well, what about if we flip that inwards? You know, what are we really scared of? And ultimately, for me, that's like, you know, I just got to slow down. I've got to listen to myself. I've started this practice recently of just checking with my gut and just going, cool, what do you think? Like literally talking out loud and going, what do you think we do? And then it's not my mind, which is super heady. And if we think about the mind, it's all about judging and assessing and mostly around safety. And the gut is like, we know gut decisions, right? There's a phrase for it. So I think for me, like really slowing down, and you can do that through any practice that means something to you. It could be going for a run around Centennial Park. It could be journaling. It could be meditation. It could, whatever it is, could be cooking. You know, whatever you find slows your system down is just so important. And then I think knowing your nature. So for me, I love being around people. So I'm a big sharer. So if something bad happens to me, I'm like, I got to tell people. Like it just has to, that's the only way it can happen. So I think if that's the case, what do I do to create, you know, rhythms in my life in which to, or like a cadence of checking in with people or having non-negotiable things that are just built into my, you know, my week, my days, my months. And for me, like I've had a weekly call with my best friend for 4.5 years running. So we've lived in the same state, different states, been housemates. And every week we've never missed it for the last 4.5 years. We've been on the other side of the world where it's a check-in. So for an hour, doesn't matter, like literally been on the other side of the world.
Wow.
At first it was like, all my shit came up because like, I don't fucking want to do this. I'm in fucking New York. Like I don't want to man, it's like 4 a.m. And he's like, yeah, man, but we made the commitment. I'm like, that's cool. Like, you know, I don't really commit to a heap of things. So that's great. So like knowing that I have that space built into my week, non-negotiable, just to check in. So for like, and sometimes I'll just check in for like 55 minutes around all the things that are going on in my life and like all the messy things I'm insecure about, things I think are gross, a bit fucked up, but all the happiness. And so I just dump it and he can listen and ask questions if he wants. And other times he might take, you know, the hour or it might be 30. But I think having that ritual has been really important. And then, just like coming back to like connecting to self, to nature, to relationships, to food, to a higher purpose, whatever that means to you. And then just having boundaries around things that I know that aren't good for me. So I cut porn out, you know, a long time ago, which was, you know, fucking big process, like because I'm like, this is not serving me, and it's not. And then I started to like think through it. I'm like, what about the industry? Like, you know, that's it. So I got evidence for the feeling, which made it an okay decision. And it's just kind of that personal well-being hygiene, really. So a few things in that.
Really cool. I relate to a lot of them. Two ones that you said at the end, like nature and food, I reckon have really changed like what I do. And it's noticed so much from moving back from Sydney to Melbourne, how much harder that's been. Because like, you know, the beaches here and the sun and like being here before, as I said, like it's just being in a nice place for me is like massive.
The Melbournians are not going to be happy with that.
No. Well, I think they understand. It's fucking like hailing at the moment. It's meant to be summer, like soon. I don't even know. Spring. And I know this is one of the most basic tips I've ever got, and I'd never listened to it until like the last probably year. I drink so much fucking water. And it like, I think that's like meditating. I think it's my thing that I've found now is when I'm stressed, I literally just go scull like a liter of water. Weird, I know, but it does.
It's going, where am I at? What do I need right now? It's a check-in of sorts, you know?
Yeah, it is. Really big one that I've literally just noticed then is putting what you put in your body. You do feel good. I don't eat meat anymore, and that's, you know, that was a little bit what you're saying about the other stuff. Is that was like an ethical thing, but it was also like I actually don't feel fucking good when I eat meat. And it's not. Again, I'm not trying to like be like I'm a better person than anyone, which I am, but you do just feel really good. And you know, I used to get crook when I ate meat. And I was like, why the fuck am I doing this? I feel like shit.
But no one asks that question.
Yeah,
everyone just goes, I just feel like shit every Sunday morning. I'm just gonna keep this up. It's like, who's telling you to do this? Why do you keep going?
I'll take tablets for my Sunday anxiety.
All you're doing is just trying to undo the decisions that you've made constantly.
It's a good one, isn't it? You know, when people are like, oh man, Sunday, I'm so fucking anxious. Are you anxious at Sunday, or have you just been on all weekend and you now feel like shit? It's like probably both.
Yeah.
We need to redefine Sunday scaries.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I love Sundays now. Sundays are beautiful.
Exactly.
Zac, what do you do personally, and then what do you, if you're allowed to, what do you suggest mainly?
Am I allowed?
Yeah, you know.
I'll charge you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this quote a lot recently. It's by Albert Camus, who's just this old dude, who said, even in the depths of winter, within us all is an invincible summer. And it's that idea of invincible summer just like sticks. Firstly, I love warmth. I love the beach, obviously, but I love the idea that you can do whatever you want in your own head. You know, there are decisions that can be made that you can reshape the way that you're perceiving your own reality in many ways. And so as dark and grey as Melbourne is, you surround yourself with the right people. Yeah. You know, you do the right things. You can create happiness for yourself in many ways. And so I think that idea of, you know, chugging water when you know that you're in a certain space is the idea that where am I at right now and what do I need? What do I need is not something that people ask that much. They always go, what do I want? You know? And what do I need is like, where are my resources at? What's going to be the thing that is going to actually help me rather than hinder me right now? And there's obviously a space for doing things that aren't necessarily that helpful for you all the time, but are going to connect you with people, or you're going to have fun in the short term, and, you know, medium term, it might not be that good. But I think that proactivity, as Hunter is kind of talking about, is like knowing and allowing yourself to be in that space to go, what's happening for me right now? Where am I at? Who am I? What am I striving towards in many ways? And so I think that the reactive nature that I think men do far too much is I will wait until I'm sinking, until I start to swim. And I think that finding a way to get on top of this stuff early by going, what are my intentions here? What am I striving for? And, you know, who is this person that I am moving towards? What am I becoming, and how can I do this a little differently? I think that because those check-ins are so difficult for lots of guys, because it's a language. Yeah. It's a language and a skill and a muscle, whatever you want to call it, that takes time to get used to. And as you said, they're, you know, at the start of this journey that we're all on, especially as guys, when you go 18, 20 years without doing that, you're just on autopilot for so long. Autopilot is, you know, in certain instances like this, where we can just let our brains go, is beautiful. In other instances where you just are just following for some reason and not going, is this where I want to go? Is this the stream that I want to go down in many ways? That's when it kind of gets dangerous, I think. And so we want to get to the point where we are purposefully going, what path am I going towards and why? And talking to people about that. Because I think our own internal subjective frame goes, you only have so much information within your head. And it's all biased as well. And so checking in with other people, whether it be a psych, whether it be a mate, and just going, I just want to, you know, check this, confirm whether or not this is something that is just something that I've created, or is something that I should be actually striving towards. So when it comes to things around rituals, like Hunter is talking about, those are the things that are those guardrails that allowed me to flourish, I guess, in some ways, because I knew that regardless of how shaky everything felt, I had that security elsewhere. Yeah. I could find that grounding regardless of where I was and what was happening. And so that's, you know, I eat the same breakfast every morning for like 15 years. Wow. I meditate twice a day. I swim in the ocean every day. as much as I can, unless I'm in Melbourne, God forbid. And that's why I had to leave. No offense.
I also left.
It pulls me, seriously. The ocean pulls me. I get beach anxiety.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah, we'll have you up here.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll find a way. And just understanding that those rituals, and this is the thing, everyone thinks, especially when we talk about it, I think weird is becoming wonderful. You know, it's the idea that I sit around and I talk to people about this stuff, and at first they're like, oh, you're a bit strange. And then all they want to know is how they can do it themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's why Wim Hof and Tony Robbins and all of these guys who are huge in the men's space are just providing purpose and structure for guys who are just in the ether going, what the fuck is happening? Who am I supposed to do? What's my purpose? What's my meaning? You know, Joe Rogan just sits there and fucking talks at you and you go, oh yeah, cool. I'm going to eat this up because they're not getting it from anywhere else.
Yeah.
And
so
Jordan Peterson
exactly
too, right? And it's like, it doesn't even matter if these guys are speaking 100% truth. They're actually just providing education, confidence, and a role model.
Yeah.
You know, and like, that's what the game has changed so much for blokes as well. It's like, the models that we've inherited, we often talk about this, but the models we've inherited around masculinity are not working. But it's also not about throwing out the baby with the bathwater. No. You know, it's about keeping the masculine traits that are serving us and developing more range, which comes from weirdness.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
Your own internal strangeness.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you love? Why do you do it? And I think that the idea of, as we've discussed about masculinity so many times, men are just being told what not to do. No one is telling them what to do. And so these guys out there are going, this is how you should be. And you go, yeah, sweet. You've given me something. Here's my doctrine that I can carry forward. We need other guys to go, what do you actually want, rather than talking at you? We're going to talk with you. And that's what, you know, Man Cave, that's what Movember, that's what all of these organizations are going. Let's talk about an aspirational idea. Where do you want to go, rather than I'm going to tell you what's what?
And then the next part of that is like, you know, laugh like Jordan Peterson's like 12 rules for life or whatever.
Make
it's like, okay, cool, right. Okay, there's only 12, you know, but like if we again just analyze that from like a evolutionary point of view, it's like we had these codes of conduct that govern society, and now though, like whether that's the Bible, it's the different religions, you know, or whatever religious or sacred texts there are, you know, the places we went to, the community town halls, the synagogues, the mosques, like the places we went to get exposed to value systems, morals, and diverse role models are now crumbling. And it's like that's why so many guys are on YouTube. Yeah, you know,
Reddit.
like you Reddit, you know, that's innately there's something in them seeking a truth, and they're seeking a purpose, you know, and you know, whether you believe in God, religion, whatever, but it's like there are certain stories that we live into because they help us organize our communities. And now the stories are breaking. We're at a real inflection point, and you know, we've got the fucking metaverse coming. Like, you know, we're at a real point in time where it's like, cool, who do we need to be, not just for us, but for our grandkids? Like, that's the clincher for me.
Why do you think everyone's listening to Dyl Friends?
Well, fuck, I don't
what's
know.
going on here.
I'm not sure. I think we're all just don't know as much.
Role model.
Yeah, no,
this big boy.
well, that's why I've got you guys on. But just on that, I love what you said about believing in something. I think that's what you're saying, is like we don't have something there as much as it's prevalent anymore. As you're saying, you know, church, everyone used to go there, community, you're part of it, you feel good, you believe in one thing. Yeah. It's different now, isn't it? Like, it is so different. But I've realised now I do believe in something. Like, I believe in a high purpose, and I believe that if you do good things happen. And that doesn't mean always good things are going to happen, but like if you just do as much good as you can, good things will happen to you. And you know what? You feel good, but probably things aren't even going to, like, more things probably won't even good happen to you, but you just notice them more.
Yeah.
And you just notice them so much more, and you're like, fuck, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Yeah. You're probably not. You're just as lucky as anyone else here, but you just like notice them so much more. So if anyone wants to believe in that, I'm going to start up a church. It's called the Friends Church. Dyl Friends Church. It's called the just big, try and do good, and good shit happens sometimes. And
we'll take it.
Yeah, it's better than what we got. Yeah. So, yeah, I just want to come back to that because, like, my mates grew up like not believing in something bigger, and it was almost seen as something that was girly, that was feminine, that was gay, as if there's anything wrong with that. And you know, I just go, if we're about prolonging our time on this planet as a species, why don't we go to the people that have been here the longest and let's ask them. And what do the First Nations people say? They say white Western culture needs to reconnect with spirit. And so my journey with this has been like, I associated like spirituality as like kind of hippies, tree hugging, but then I also associate it with like religion. And I was like, I don't trust that.
Yeah.
But there is a distinct difference to what you're saying, which is actually the higher purpose. It is, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, how, if we slow this all down, how could we not believe in a higher purpose, right? Like we're on a spinning rock. We're kind of evolved monkeys.
What?
Yeah.
We're on a rock?
And then like, we're part, something is happening that ultimately we have no control over. We might think with our little 2 million year old brains, we're like, I've got certainty, I'm going to plan my day in my calendar, but ultimately it's like, cool, we actually have no idea. We're always falling. And, coming back to what I said, like there is something there that our First Nations people are saying, if we can reconnect back to spirit, whatever language you want to give to that, higher purpose, community, giving, like nature, like there is something there because, the way that we're evolving now, like absolutely, there's like some incredible technological advancements, but also I do think there are some real spiritual advancements now too, because, I wouldn't have been sitting here, a couple of years ago talking about this. You, I doubt, wouldn't have been talking about this. But so if we look at the data of that, something is happening, and I think that coming back to vulnerability, that's also piercing through that allows people to feel more. Yeah. And when we feel more, we connect more. And then back to what you were saying, it's like connection is the reason why we will live the longest. There's the Harvard study on, 85-year study, bunch of men, who have lived to be, however old. What is the reason? It's not, their jobs. It's not like, how many kids they had, their diet.
They smoked anything.
They smoked. It was the quality of their relationships. Yeah. So not quantity, but quality.
Oh, yeah. Preach that.
100%, right? And then like vulnerability with your mates is cool. Like that should be the tagline of Dyl Friends. But like
vulnerability is cool.
Vulnerability is cool. Man. Like comes into school. Healthy Harold is like 2.0.
You see someone just throwing an apple at me. I'm saying that.
Yeah. So I just think there's a lot of clues in that.
Mate. Believing in yourself as well. Belief as a higher purpose is like, I've got something in me that I can give here. Yeah. I can be someone that is going to be a useful member of society, and I can connect with others, and I can find a reason to get up in the morning and do something. And it doesn't have to be your job. It's just got to be knowing that there is something within you that can drive you forward.
Love it. Did you guys see recently, and again, I sometimes I just pick up these things and go different places, but I read this article, I think Sam even showed me it. It's called The Great Resignation.
Yeah.
And I think that epitomizes what we're talking about now, and why I'm so happy for young people, boys and girls, with what we're doing, is people want that. Like they're in these incredible jobs, 20 to 30 to 40-year-olds, and they're going, fuck, this isn't what I want to do. This is not what I want to do. And they're just going and quitting and just doing something different that they like, that isn't as big as what they wanted, but they're having purpose and they enjoy it. So I think there definitely is inroads in that space.
Talk about post-traumatic growth. We said, I think I spoke about this with you on the podcast early on in the COVID situation, where I was like, there'll be a silver lining. Good things will come from this. And, the idea that we're going to grow because you have to. We've had literally gut time. Yeah. We've just been like, all right, I'm at home again in my fucking home office. What am I doing here? Yeah. What is this? And it's not that you hate your job. It's not that you hate the people that you work with. It's just that there is something else potentially. I also think there's a flip side to that, which is where people blow stuff up unnecessarily and then just go gallivanting and attempting to find themselves but potentially lose themselves. So I think that there has to be that middle ground where you talk to the people around you to be like, this is what I'm feeling. What do you reckon I should be doing here? Because you don't want to, start to just eradicate everything that you've kind of created for no reason, because that's often a fear thing as well. It's like, I'm losing time. When you hit 30 or 40, everything just goes. It's like, oh no, I've lost everything. I've lost my youth. What's going on here? Rather than, and I've got so many mates who are turning 30 now, and they go, I'm losing everything. And I'm like, let's flip that just a little. What are you about to gain? Yeah. I asked my grandparents. They're both Holocaust survivors. They went through fucking hell. Wow. All right. And they're both 92, still kicking.
Wow.
Running around. And I
saw them this morning, actually.
Yeah.
They're doing a couple
laps. Yeah.
Slow as, man. Losers.
And I go to them, what age would you like to be? And I'm like, they're going to say, 20s, 30s when they're and they go 50s or 60s.
Really?
Both of them at the same time. They said it. And they were like, we knew who we were. We had funds. We could travel. Our kids were old enough. We knew what was going on, and we could live the lives that we always wanted to in many ways. And so this idea that, I don't know who's selling us youth, I guess, in many ways, like, development and growth and understanding who we are and what we can become. Everything is getting easier for me every year. It's like, oh God, what the fuck was that about? That was rough. And I love thinking back to, I've got a journal from when I was like 22, 23. And I thought I was hot shit.
Yeah.
It's like,
Sorted.
poor dude. I thank my friends for sticking by me during that time.
Fucking hell. I know
So
exactly.
in 10 years' time, I'll call you and thank you again for
Please
sticking
do.
by me
Please
through
do.
this period.
There's a little anecdote I heard the other day, and it was on TikTok. So I'm not gonna, I can't credit who this was, but I loved it, and it's actual fact because it was on TikTok. But it was this guy who was saying how you judge a situation. And I think this has been like a massive part for me with this whole COVID situation. It's definitely how I see things. And it's like, what if I told you broke your leg? And you're like, that would suck. That's bad news. And it's like, well, what if I told you when you broke your leg, you went to the doctor, you met the doctor, and you end up marrying the doctor that became your wife? And you're like, that's a bad situation in like the first hour, but in the next 6 months, that's probably the best thing that ever happened to you. So it's sort of hard, and it's very hard to know when you're in that because you look at a situation sometimes, you're like, fuck, I just broke my fucking leg. Like, this is terrible. Then I go and I meet the doctor, and she's the love of my life, and we, have a family together. It's like, I love that. And that's why I love that.
You never know what's coming.
Yeah. Sliding doors. You never know what's coming.
And it's like, I love that Tony Robbins is getting a run in this podcast. But like one of, his quotes,
Tony.
which, he's obviously a divisive character, but, life is happening for you, not to you. So life is happening for you, not to you. And that's a very different way to engage with the world. And so, when COVID broke, Man Cave, we were running school-based mental health programs in schools, which meant that we couldn't do that really for like 18 months. And we're a charity. But that was the mindset that we embedded in the organization. It was like, cool, how do we roll with the punches here that this will, show that this adversity will shape our character as an organization and as individuals? How do we use this time wisely? And we've now coming out of COVID, it's like a slingshot. Like things are just different.
You need new people.
We're hiring more people.
If anyone wants, I remember after the chat with Hunter last time, everyone was asking me how to get involved with Man Cave. You now have a chance.
We're hiring facilitators in both New South Wales and Victoria. So
get on that. Where do they go? Just online?
Yeah. Mancave.life, L-I-F-E, and then it's couldn'tafford.com.
Charity.
Life. Hashtag charity.
Yeah, I'll take life instead of .com.
It's real bold.
That's a household.com.
Work with us. Everyone will be doing it. Google.life. So get involved. But back to that point was it's a shift, right? And it's this deeper trust. And I think that's where the higher power thing comes in. It's like, I am being taken care of, even if the discomfort is not what I want. And I think that's the thing about such a pleasure-driven society, and it's like, that's what's scary. Like the metaverse is pure pleasure town. Like one of the biggest investors in that industry is porn. Because imagine putting your VR goggles on and you're just off to the races. Like, and then you're giving that to an 8-year-old kid, right? So there's a lot happening there. So back to what are we doing just to slow down?
And I think that the idea that's really important when we're talking about you break your leg, you rock up, you have to be in the space to connect with the doctor, to look her in the eye, to go, I'm here, and I'm a human being. I'm not just fucking angry about what's happened and anxious. And it's a matter of going, this situation is shit, but my life is all right. I'm going to contextualize this, and now I found the love of my life, and I have to have sex with a broken leg. You know what I mean?
That's why he's a doctor. That was a slam dunk. That was
really
alley-oop into the fucking
really
bang.
good.
That was awesome. I love that. Hey, Movember, we're doing it. You're doing.
I can't see yours.
I am. Believe it or not, I am.
It's happening.
It feels wiry. But it hurts.
Whatever you grow, mate.
It hurts. I'm doing it. I'm running a marathon if I haven't told you guys. So
what?
Yeah, running a marathon. What are we doing for Movember? I know there's a cool collab between you two. I obviously didn't get the memo with the 3 collab maybe, but
Yeah,
it's a bit much, isn't it?
Maybe when I get to podcast number 3.
so fucking awkward. Yeah. Anyway,
We'll bring you in.
what are you guys doing?
It's a big year, man.
Yeah.
We had to do the whole pivot last year as well, the word of the year.
Yeah.
Going fully online and trying to get all these guys on board without that connection, really, in many ways, the physical connection, because that's what we pride ourselves on, is getting everyone in the room and being able to connect with them, have events, all that type of stuff. And we still managed to succeed. And so we knew that people were just chomping for this stuff, And so this year we just gone bigger and bolder. And we've actually broadened out. I think I spoke to you about this tool ages ago, Movember Conversations, which is
Ripper.
This, online tool. And we've got heaps of articles about how to talk to your mates about the tough stuff, that the Man Cave gives you the initial toolbox for, and then we develop it further, I guess, in many ways. And so so many things. We got people like Dan Pricey going and running
What a
distance.
man.
What a man. We've got people all over the world just pushing themselves in many ways. And it's through adversity and difficulty. As I said, I would love to see the day, and I'm hoping in a couple of years' time, that we're going to get men on board who have not suffered.
Yeah.
Who have not been through shit and are doing it reactively, preventatively. Yeah, we want to get them coming on board to do this stuff, because they know that their future is in their hands, and that they can shift this stuff up. And having a little mo just to start those conversations is this is the best time of year. We love it.
It is.
And then go ahead with the Man Cave collab.
Yeah, well, 2 partnerships going on. So the first was over COVID, Man Cave developed this initiative called Mancape Tv, which is basically bringing our facilitators to life through like a digital platform that really
On the line.
on the line. On the live. Basically, it's like helping boys find the answers to questions they're Googling anyway.
Yep.
But it's done in a way that's kind of edgy but wholesome at the same time. And really like everything, like, my parents are going through a divorce. I don't know what to do. I'm questioning my sexual preference. Don't know what to do. Like, I'm about to have sex for the first time. I don't know what to do. Whatever it is. But delivering it in a way that's kind of meets the boys where they're at. And amazing that, Movember ran this social innovations challenge with like thousands of applications across the world. And you guys chose 11, I'm pretty sure.
We did.
And Mancape TV was one of the 11. So
Wow.
Huge partnership for us. Obviously, the brand, the reputation of Movember means we can just press play and scale this thing. So that's one thing. So just going out to many teenage boys as possible.
And where is the TV? Can you just access that online?
Yeah. It's basically a digital, online website.
Is it live?
It's building now. We've got an Instagram handle, which is kind of building it out. So it's got about kind of maybe 2,000 boys on it now. The boys are also playing on Twitch. So boys, after they go through our programs, will log on to Twitch and speak to our facilitators, start checking in about their mental health. Yeah. So it's really, the whole thing for us is like, there's enough people telling boys they're bad, they're wrong. We're like, we want to come in as that non-authoritative role model that kind of shows them, like, has fun with them, but then it can also, provide some role modeling too. Yep. So there's that partnership. And then, we've just partnered with Movember with one of their initiatives, which is called Speakeasy. So basically it's Movember initiative, Man Cave's the delivery partner, and we go into corporate workplaces and basically create spaces for
shake shit up.
For guys.
For the older dudes.
For the older dudes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, just to learn how to kind of check in, develop some language for their emotions, how to support their mates, and become the internal champions inside of their businesses too.
Yeah.
I've got a question, Dyl.
Please.
If Hunter had made a 4-minute video about you're about to have sex for the first time and you're
I'd watch it at 28, to be honest. I'd watch it. Yes, I would watch it. 28.
Yeah, put it on.
Yeah. Is that the question? Because yes, that actually is the answer. Yeah, I'd definitely watch it. I think it's really smart. Like all those things, I think we spoke about this on this show. Like you write the question down, you put it on a little note, and you go, "Oh, who the fuck did that? That's the worst question ever." Like, that was me. I don't know what that was.
But that's what like Big Mouth and Sex Education. That's what they're doing. It's like, man, if I 10, 20 years ago to be able to have that. Just to watch it and go, oh man, everyone, this is the thing. This is what we're talking about. Normalization of everything. You said at the start, it's like, oh, everyone is going through this shit. The isolating feeling that you are in some way, it's either ego being like, I'm totally unique and different.
Yeah.
Or it's no one will ever understand this. There are too many fucking people in this world for you to suggest that you have something that others aren't going to connect with. So my plea to everybody is to just throw it out there and see where it sticks, because somebody will pick it up and run with it alongside you. And that's what we're here for. Don't do this shit alone. We're not special. When we're all created with the same instruments in many ways. And so it's just a matter of finding that person and going, all right, now's the time.
Love it. I think that was it. I think you nailed it.
That was good.
I did want to say though, just quickly, that it was funny when you go back to those sex ed classes and you're like, oh, I'm the only one that doesn't know this. Hey, Brad, you don't know shit either, mate. Like, we're both like 12 and like none of us know what the fuck we're doing. Like, Brad, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're doing.
I've got an older brother.
I've got pubes.
Yeah, there we go. What's next for you guys?
I need a holiday, mate.
Me too, man.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting away.
Yeah, it's been a rough 18 months.
It has.
I didn't even realize this thing. I went away for 2 days a couple of weeks ago, and just to feel every time I'm like, oh, I'm calm now. I feel another wave. It's like I'm just ripping off masks.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh God, another wave of stress going. And I always go, I need 10 days. It's like, it's such a privileged position, but it's like 7 days in, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm ready to rumble now. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of on the cards for me. I can't wait to travel again. I just want to expand. We were just saying before that the 5K radius is still, there's a bit of trauma there.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like, I need to.
When you live in the eastern suburbs, I don't think you two would even go out there. You
My
didn't even know
5K
it was on,
mostly
did you?
ocean, mate.
Yeah, you didn't even know. You two didn't even know that was a
I had
thing.
no idea.
You're like, oh, what? We have a 5K radius?
Swimming ratio.
Yeah. You're like, what? I can't do the whole Bondi to Bronte today? That's embarrassing.
Yeah, really rough. No, but times are good. I think everything is looking sweet, and I just can't wait for what's ahead, and to be able to do this with you lads is a privilege.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, man, I'm same. Can't wait for a break. Oh my God. Before that, stuff, end of the year, big gifting period.
Have you fucking seen my face? I'm looking that hot at the moment. I'm not even joking. I smack stuff like religious.
All over.
Like, now with the shaved head too, I just go like
the whole thing.
From the whole thing.
That's the point of it.
Yeah.
It's like you just do the whole thing.
It's just everywhere. I love it. I'm not even like, I genuinely love it, and you've done an incredible. They've got the new moisturizer too. Use that today.
That's why you look 15.
I got something
Yes.
for you too.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. No, they're the goats. So what have you got? A big.
So yeah, we're end of the year, big gifting period. So we want to like just replace the like socks and jocks and just shitty.
So you got some
men
socks and jocks
presents.
coming.
You missed the point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got it. Okay, we're replacing that. Okay.
Yeah, but socks are cool if you want.
No,
socks.
yeah, they're cool.
No neg on
I
that.
love socks.
Yeah, man, we want to replace the socks
Okay.
and jocks. Yeah,
No one
yeah,
knows
yeah.
what to buy, man. Straight up.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
it. So we just want to be like, have this. It's like moisturizer, body wash, face wash, face scrub coming soon, a few more products in the pipeline, and like just to give, men that choice. You're going, I can just get something actually makes a difference to boys. So Stuff funds Man Cave. So yeah, big gifting period for us. So we'll sprint into the end of the year and then some chill time, hopefully after that.
Love that. Are you on stuff at the moment? You look like you are because you look handsome.
I appreciate that. I was waiting for Hunter to bring it for me.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
that's what we-
I've
Yeah, you can
also-
support it if you want. You just
I
jump
could.
on like, yeah.
I got to try it first. It's a sample. And
That's
then I'm
true.
Good to go. Yeah.
Nah, couldn't recommend it more. It's an incredible product, but also high purpose, which is what we're here for. Boys, thank you. Really enjoyed that. Did you?
Don't be afraid. I love it.
Yeah.
we covered some territory.
Yeah, we did. Fuck, we were talking about high purpose at some. I was
Yeah.
like, have we had 6 beers right now? Like, where are we going?
4 a.m.
Yeah, I was
around.
like, whoa.
Yeah.
I fucking love you guys. But it is funny that like young guys now, I suppose, is trying to get those conversations that you'd have with 6 beers, but just having them all the time.
Totally, man. Or on the Rev stands for.
Yeah, whatever it is, each your own.
Wherever you need it.
Love it.
One book recommendation.
Oh,
that's
give us it.
Sparked, and I reckon you'd be across this book. The Happiest Man on Earth.
Okay, I've been bought that by my mum.
Eddie Jack.
Oh, dude, Eddie
just passed
Jacko
away.
just passed
Incredible.
away. 101, Holocaust survivor. And like the golden rule is like you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's a page turner.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I need it. I've got it. I've got the hard cover, which I don't love hard covers. Don't listen. Mum, I still really appreciate that you got it for me, but I like to really bend a book.
Churn it up.
I really like to just treat it like just get into
your
it.
book.
Yeah. Whereas this one, it's like you just have to feel bad when you cringe it over a bit.
You respect it. You'll love it.
Yeah.
Be good.
Yeah.
Be good.
I'm an aggressive reader.
Change it up.
Yeah, I'm an aggressive reader. But I will get onto that. Is it that good?
It's a cracker.
Yeah. Give us a main point out of it.
Can't do this alone.
Okay. There it is again. There it is again.
Second main point.
There you go. Second main point.
Yeah, well, just
for a third, or is it the
quick cliff notes? The guy went through like multiple camps and like this beautiful story of a friendship that followed him in and out. And like, how do you find service, high purpose, and just like your own resilience in the most adverse of situations. And it's so crazy how he'll just be like, and then I didn't see my sister for 4 years, and then that's the next sentence. You're like, wow, man, that's
he lived.
Heaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through. We can all get through it.
Well, you fucking ruined it. Now I won't read it. Yeah.
You got the clip notes.
There he is. No, that's great. I really will get onto that. Boys, thank you so much again. And please, if you did enjoy today's episode, make sure you donate to our Movember. Join the team and, donate to each of the Movembers. We'll have the links and also get some stuff because we love that and we love you guys. So thank you so much and we'll do it again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Alex.